Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. As living entities living in this material conditioned world, this temporary world, this world of asat, non-existence, non-reality, I don't know if there's anything that we could do for the residents of the spiritual world. And I'm gonna follow that up with an example real quick. The reason why I say that is because the residents of the material world get blessed every time Krishna incarnates in the material world. Every time he comes to this material world, he comes performing certain pastimes, and these pastimes are very enchanting. But these pastimes also bless the living entity at the same time as enchants us. And not only does it bless the living entities, but it can liberate the living entities. It can give us pure love of Krishna. And of course, liberation entails, a lot of times liberation deals with eternal life. So you can be liberated from the material conditions, the ups and downs in the material world, the goods and the bads, and just be situated as you are, which is Jiva Atma. But more pure than that, Aham Brahmasmi. You could be in realization, in God realization, because to realize self is to realize God, and to realize God is to realize self. But I'm not saying that they're the same. They're only qualitatively the same, not quantitatively the same. But that's a totally different subject. What I did notice in the story of Tulsi is that for beings in the material world to be blessed and for Krishna to incarnate here, it usually entails a spiritual curse. When Radharani throws a curse, we know of 2 times when Radharani cursed beings that was living in the spiritual world. They were living in Goloka Vrindavan and they got cursed by her. One of them was a cowherd boy associate of Krishna. And the other one was Tulsi. She was cursed to come to the material world. Well, the boy who got cursed by Radharani, he came down here and turned into a demon named Shanka Chuda. And the girl who was cursed, she came here and manifested as Tulsi. Now, the great blessing, you say, how is a blessing a demon in the material? How is a demon a blessing in the material world? Well, let's look at what happened in his pastime when Shanka Chuda fought against Lord Shiva. There's a lot of people who watch my videos. They follow different religious systems. Some people follow Hinduism, and some people follow the Yoruba system or the West African system. Now, in the West African system, African traditional religion, you have a goddess named Yemaya, and anything dealing with seashells or conch shells, it's divine to her. It's one of her divine symbols. And Yemaya is very important because she's the amniotic fluid of the world. She's the mother of mothers. Like for your mother to give birth, she has to be connected to the primordial waters via the amniotic fluid. For us to come to this world, we have to be surrounded by amniotic fluid. The amniotic fluid inside a mother's belly is the same composition as the primordial seas of the planet Earth. So in order for women to be in a position to give birth, they have to have a divine connection to Yemaya, the goddess of the surface of the sea. So anything that's divine to Yemaya also has a lot to do with the continuation of life in this material world. Likewise, the conch shell, if you go to India, in all of the Vedic religions, the Indian religions, they also deal with the conch shell. And you wouldn't have had none of those conch shells. You know, even like when Lord Krishna's on the battlefield, even if he has a small army and his enemies have a vast army, as soon as Krishna blows that conch shell into the hearts of his enemies, they all just basically urinate and defecate on themselves, or they feel like they're going to urinate and defecate or throw up. They just have a lot of fear when they hear Lord Krishna's conch shell. So this conch shell came about because the demon Shankachuda, which was actually a friend of Krishna in the spiritual world who was cursed by Radharani. So remember, a curse in the spiritual world turns out to be a blessing, not just for one person in the material world, but for everybody in the material world, because Krishna's pastimes are coming continuously to this material world, you know, it's funny because he's really the true quantum being, because he's always at rest, always chilling, always playing, and always working, and always doing nothing at the same time. Like only Krishna could do that, you know what I'm saying? He's always chilling. Can you imagine what it's like to be in a position where you're being served by hundreds of thousands of goddesses of fortune every second in Goloka Vrindavan, but yet you're also here in the material world performing miraculous pastimes? So anyway, Radharani, she cursed, I think it was Sudama. He got cursed and came down here. He got beat up by Lord Shiva. You know, the story is much more intricate than that, but he got beat by Lord Shiva and his bones became all of the conch shells in the planet Earth. So remember, a curse in the spiritual world turned out to be a blessing in the material world. I don't know if a curse in the material world will turn out to be a spiritual blessing, because again, I don't know if there's anything we can do in this material world that amounts to anything substantial in the spiritual world, except maybe the force of bhakti. Bhakti yoga is the only thing that we could perform in the material world that could pierce through straight into the spiritual world. You could shoot up plants. You could make plants grow from your heart to the spiritual world. And when Radharani smells that, she says, look at this beautiful plant. And she shows it to Krishna, and he comes and smells it. And then your life begins to take on some miraculous properties. So, I'd like to take a moment to talk about how important Tulsi is, something that I learned from Amarendra Prabhu again, listening to his lectures. And I just want to run it down real quick. Tulsi Maharani. Well, actually, okay. Let me just tell you some of the austerities she did in this material world. From birth, she was a pure devotee of Krishna. She went to Badrinath. And in the summertime, she would light all of these hot fires around her body and stand under the sun. And in the wintertime, she would submerge herself in the cold, ice cold water. It's called tapasya. These are forms of austerities and penances. So she would stay in the cold water in the winter and around the blazing hot fires in the summer, all to get the attention of Lord Brahma, because Krishna gave her that instruction when she got cursed by Radharani to come to the material world. Listen, do some penances and austerities when you get down to the material world, and Lord Brahma will come, and whatever, just ask him for your desire. Ask him so that you can marry Lord Narayana. Ask him so you can marry Vishnu. So she was like, okay. So she came down to this material world. The first 10,000 years of her life, she ate of her austerities. The first 10,000 years of her austerities, she just ate fruits and roots. And then for the next 20,000 years, she just ate the leaves that fell from trees by themselves. And then for the next 40,000 years, she just lived off of air. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. She just breathed air for 40,000 years. And then for the last 10,000 years of her life, she stood on one foot. So in the course of doing all of these austerities, Lord Brahma came to give her blessings. But it just goes to show you that eternal associates of Krishna, when they come down to this material world, they have miraculous and extraordinary abilities. And they can last a long time doing austerities and penances, where me and you, we could barely chant 16 rounds of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If someone asks you to chant that 1,728 times in a day, like, it's virtually impossible. Most people are not chanting that nowadays, and that's why you see the world going so crazy, because really we're not chanting, we're not doing our penances and austerities. But that's for another video. But I just made this video to point out that penances and austerities, they have their value. However, there's nothing like pure devotion to Krishna. For example, you got a lot of people that go to the temple. They go to the Hindu temple. They worship Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. They'll worship Narayana or Vishnu, a husband. But the thing about Vishnu is that he only has 2 wives. He only got 2 wives. There's a lot of people that think that Vishnu is greater than Krishna because Vishnu has 4 arms and Krishna only has 2. So that Vishnu must be the origin of Krishna. But actually, Tulsi Maharani herself said that what Vishnu does, she said this to Lord Brahma, because see, her desire was actually to marry Krishna. She wanted Krishna as her husband, but she couldn't get that right away. So Lord Brahma gave her an alternative and gave her the right to marry an expansion of Lord Vishnu, which was actually Shankachuta. Because if you check Shankachuta's lineage, he comes from some kings, and these kings were the children of kings, who were the children of kings, who were expansions of Lord Vishnu. So actually Tulsi was getting what Krishna desired for her, which was Vishnu as a husband, and Krishna knowing all along that he is actually Vishnu anyway. But Tulsi was smart. She wanted Krishna himself, the 2-handed, because she told Lord Brahma when he came to bless her, she said, man, what Vishnu does with 4 hands, what Krishna does with 2 hands, Vishnu doesn't even do with 4 hands. See, Krishna has 4 attributes, 4 main attributes that Vishnu does not have. He has Rupa Madhuri. His form is actually way more beautiful than Lord Vishnu's form. Rupa Madhuri, sweet form. Apparently he's very, 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 very much more handsome than Vishnu. He has Venu Madhuri. He plays the flute so beautiful and enchantingly, especially on that full moon, man. When he plays that flute, the gopis come from all around during that full moon. They leave their gross bodies behind. They leave the hard bones and knuckles behind and the metal pots and pans that they use to take care of their family. And they come in their subtle, soft, sweet, spiritual form to Sri Krishna when he plays the Venu. And the sound of this flute, let's not get it twisted, the sound of this flute also sustains, the vibrations from that flute also sustains all of these unlimited material cosmoses that we live in. So he has Venu Madhuri. What else does he have? Leela Madhuri. These activities that Krishna performs when he comes here is so amazing and extraordinary that even if you had unlimited mouths, you still couldn't describe all of the glories of the activities that Krishna did every time he comes to this material world. So that's pastimes. These pastimes are designed to attract the mind of the living entities, and it's designed to liberate the living entities when he comes to this material world. And so he has what? Rupa Madhuri, the form. He has Venu, he plays the flute. That's not only enchanting and attracting, but it sustains the material universe. The very waves that this material universe is built on is the vibration from Krishna's flute. Also, he has the activities, and last but not least, most importantly, is Prema Madhuri. Again, Vishnu has maybe 2 wives. Krishna is being pleased 100,000 times over 100,000 seconds by 100,000 goddesses of fortune. Like, it don't get, your position of pleasure and enjoyment doesn't get any higher than Krishna. You're just best to fall in line and see where you can serve that pleasure, because Krishna never accepts something from you without giving you something back. So if you're one of those beggarish type of people who's always begging and begging Krishna, he'll accept that begging from you, but he's going to give something back to you in the form of begging. So if you always want something from Krishna, be prepared to give something to Krishna. And while we're on that subject, listen, I'm going to be honest with y'all, right? For those of you who are seeking to be materially rich, not comfortable, not being able to take care of your family, but I mean really rich, don't serve Lord Vishnu. Don't go to Lord Vishnu, run away right now. Because Vishnu, Krishna, is usually known for removing the material wealth of his devotees. And I know a lot of people are going to be turned off by that statement, and they say, man, I knew something told me don't mess with that Hare Krishna stuff. Listen, it's just the actual fact that he's just removing the sticks and stones off of your back. Let me give you an example. there was an old lady who used to carry firewood. I wish I knew the story properly so I could tell you the story properly. And I hate that I have to yell, but I'm in a loud place. There's a lady who used to carry firewood every day to take care of her old self and her old husband. So this firewood was, to cook food, I guess to heat up water, to wash clothes, the necessities of life. And man, this bundle of sticks was so heavy and she was getting old. One day she got real tired and fell down. She fell down on the ground, and it's not like in America, if you fall down, you just go back to Home Depot, you get some more. Man, I'm talking about everything is hand to mouth. Hand to mouth. It's not like here. If I go buy food at the diner and I drop the food, all I got to do is go back to the diner or go to another restaurant, buy food. Over there it was hand to mouth. It's like, if you don't get that firewood off that ground later, you might die today, or you might not cook today, rather. All right, boom. So she's laying on the ground crying, and she's like, oh, Lord Vishnu, please help me. Oh, my God, look how this has happened to me. She just can't take it no more. And suddenly, Lord Vishnu appears. Yes, my darling. Yes, my dear. How can I help you? And she asks Lord Vishnu, please take the bundle of sticks and put it back on my back. Like, you've reached contact with the unlimited person and you ask for a limited blessing. So that's what a lot of devotees have a misconception with Krishna. They come to him looking for some kind of material reciprocity, and that's more like business. But the power of love and devotion goes beyond business. The power of love and devotion is like, I'm gonna love this person whether they recognize me or not. That's pure love. That's the kind of love people be having for their children. Like, whether my child loves me or not, I see my child. My child came from me, and I love my child. My child is helpless. I love my child. It's so cute, depending on me for everything. That's how the devotees come to Krishna. Like, let me do something for you out of love. Let me not come here asking you for something. If you do want to be material rich, that's okay. That's your business. That's not for me to judge. But you got to go to people like Lord Shiva for that. Lord Shiva will bless you with all that material wealth. He's Asutosh. He's easily pleased. But the flip side to that is that he's also easily displeased. So make sure you know what you're doing when you're dealing with these forces. So again, a lot of Hindus, they'll go to worship Lakshmi because they want material wealth. They'll go worship Shiva because they want material wealth or they want power. And none of these beings can do what Krishna can do. None of these beings have the extraordinary pastimes of Sri Krishna. Damn, New York is a loud, I swear New York is loud. When the Anunnakis, right? When they first allegedly created the human beings and stuff, after the human beings started to multiply, the Anunnakis didn't like us much no more. They said one of the main characteristics of humans is all this damn noise, and you don't really notice all the noise around you until you're trying to record a simple video on your phone. That's when you notice, like, I'm almost yelling at the top of my voice and the cars ain't even passing by right now. Anyway, that's life in New York. So yeah, you could go worship who you want. You could go worship Ganesh. You could get all the material prosperity you want, but all of those things are very temporary. And you'll notice that even if you live as long as Lord Brahma, like if you go to Lord Brahma's abode for like a few minutes, Brahma Lok, if you go to Lord Brahma's abode for like a half an hour, about 2 million years pass on earth. And Lord Brahma lives only 100 years. So all of the time we spend on the planet Earth is like, you know how long it takes to light a match?